you have these conspiracy theorist people, photos fake, it's Photoshop, and he set up his death. The picture's a part of, it was a fake, and
he's still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive, and funny. I currently work in the movie industry now, and that goes back to the theory also. I work in the movie industry. I'm a transportation picture car coordinator, which means I provide the vehicles that you see on TV. So people have Googled me and looked up and saw that I work with cars. So they were, their theory was, it was a movie car. It was a fake shooting. It was a setup. It was a movie set.
Because for your job, for people who don't know, you're a picture car captain. So cars that appear on screen in movies, that is your job to procure those cars, to be on set,
Yes.
make sure they're operating properly.
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize a lot of times you have to have two of the same car just in
Yes.
case one goes down.
Exactly.
You don't stop the shoot and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
So people thought, you work in Hollywood, it's all a Hollywood production, right?
Yeah, and at the time I wasn't even. I didn't really start. I went to school for film. I attended UCLA film school, and at that time in '96, I wasn't even in the industry. I didn't really start working in the industry doing picture cars until like '98, '99. That's when I really got into it. So for them to say that, I was, the car was a movie car, things like that.
One of the things I used to get a lot when I first put the movie out, and I finally had to do like a photographic analysis, was people like, there's no key in the ignition. There's no key in the, that's one of the big things.
Yes.
Like I had to research what the key looked like for the BMW 7 Series, and then I did a zoomed in, of the high res photo that the copy you gave me, and was able to show the key is in the ignition. There's just not a big keychain attached. He had just leased it. I think they just received the car. There was no chain on the key. It was just the key.
That was another thing. People were saying there was no key, and then you have people come back, well, it was a push button start. No, it wasn't a push button start. It just had the single key in the ignition that you turn. People were looking for something hanging down from the key or, something like that, but that's not, it was just a single black key in the ignition. And, you debunked it by showing that how the ignition looks with the key in it and without the key in it. So I remember that a few years ago you did that, and I kind of referenced that to people.
So Frank Alexander, Tupac's bodyguard, what happened with him later on?
Really, it just goes back to people really never knew who I was. They just knew of the photograph. And I can't remember the year. It was a director that I worked with didn't even know that I took the picture, Reggie Blythewood. They were doing ESPN story. This is when 30 for 30 had just started.
Yeah.
I was part of one of the first.
That was like One Night in Vegas or whatever it was called? Yeah, it was really good,
Yeah. So, and I had worked with Reggie on other, I think 1 or 2 shows before, and I didn't really talk about, me taking that picture. It wasn't nothing I talked about. So, coincidentally, he was doing, I got a call from someone from ESPN saying that they were doing this new show called 30 for 30, and they wanted to use my picture and they wanted to interview me. And I told them I had never done interviews. I wasn't really interested in doing any interviews. And a few weeks went by, they called me back and said, "Oh, we really like to use you." And I said, "Okay." So I gave in to them. And that's how people learned who I was.
Who was behind the camera.
Who actually took the picture. But going back to your, with Mr. Alexander, I later heard, I can't remember the year that I heard it, but he was saying that I was lying and I wasn't there, and I don't know where that came from.
Or why would he even care? What does that have to do with anything, right?
Yeah, I don't. And so once I heard that, but then I started researching, and he had passed away. So I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Had I got a chance to talk to him, I would have refreshed his memory. that, hey, I was there with you. We talked. So, maybe, you just didn't remember who I was, or we didn't exchange names or whatever.
He fell in with some conspiracy nuts there towards the end of his life, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I think, I don't know, I think he lived with a lot of guilt, as you would if you were Tupac's bodyguard and he gets killed right in front of you. I don't think the murder was his fault or preventable by him, but I think he lived with the guilt from that for a long time. Yeah. And he did end up shooting himself in his own home with his own gun, right in front of his wife.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, his wife did a podcast that I found about grief. She went on a podcast about grief, and someone dies close to you, how to get around that. And I listened to that and listened to her tell that story.
Wow.
But then the conspiracy nuts will claim that he was killed, and then it's like, okay, well, you were implying his wife is now in on it. These conspiracies, in order to keep them going, they have to keep expanding. Every time someone new comes forward with information that contradicts it, it's like, oh, well, that person's in on it too. Then it's like you're adding another player into the theory. It's all so ridiculous.
Back to him saying that I was lying. I didn't. Had I heard this, I heard it maybe a few years after someone sent it to me on Instagram or something, but like I said, I didn't know he had passed away, because I definitely would have refreshed his memory of who I was.
Right. It's hard to keep up with those conspiracy theories because they're always morphing too. They're always changing, shifting around. And so maybe at the time someone was trying to push the photo was fake theory. And to discredit you. He's like, oh, you weren't even there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe that's what he was
I'm going to tell you another story as well. So back then in '96, and I know this because as a kid, my great grandmother used to take me to Vegas. Like, we used to go every Labor Day, right before school started. We used to go to Labor, and they had helicopter tours right on the Strip. They had a helicopter tour right on the Strip. So, going back to your theory thing, so there were helicopters landing and taking off while the police were investigating the whole thing, and someone even said that he took off in a helicopter because the helicopter landed.
We ran up the street as cops were running past us, and by the time we got here, they were already taking, which now I found out was Tupac, into the helicopter away. He had been shot.
Yeah, they interviewed this blonde girl. It's kind of famous interview. She ended up going on 10 years later being one of the hosts of Extreme Home Makeover.
I need to deliver a surprise to Katrina and her family that we are going to see music superstar Justin Bieber.
Oh, okay.
Which is crazy that it's the same girl, but she just obviously misspoke and was mistaken. Everybody else is like, no, we watched him get in an ambulance.
Yes, I saw him get in the ambulance.
Yeah. And the funniest thing about that's all based on that one girl's interview, and it's like, you think that on the Strip, on fight night, full of people, that a helicopter flew him away and only one person saw it.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Really? Common sense. There was one other thing with the photo that people have claimed. There's a version of the photo that doesn't have the red rag in it.
There was a red rag, a red towel that was originally in the car. Someone wanted to use the picture or something to print it, and the graphic person took the red towel out, trying to, just to, I guess, beautify it or take away from it.
Or maybe saw it as a potential gang reference because the red bloods, maybe thought that was something to take. He wanted to sanitize the photo. I don't know.
Think it had removing it had anything to do with the gang ties or anything. I think it just took away from the picture. Took away from the focal point of the picture. And after I discovered that, I was like, oh, because I really didn't pay attention to it. And later on, you'll see there's pictures out there that you see the towel on the seat or on the floor. Afterwards, after the car was sent to the impound or the police were doing the investigation, you see the red towel in the car. And just a part of you go to these theories, these conspiracy people, they had my page shut down. I can't even own my page anymore.
Well, your Facebook or your really?
Instagram, yeah.
Did you set a page up for the photo?
Yeah.
You called 1 minute before?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's been shut down for about 2 years now.
Jeez.
Because someone came on there, and they don't give you a reason why. They'll say it was promoting something false.
Right.
And I would never promote anything, nothing that was,
right.
Nothing like that. So